Well, hello, my rockin' red stars. We are making pork Holstein Schnitzel with an Austrian potato salad and pickled cucumbers. It's topped with a beautifully fried sunny side up egg with an anchovy caper butter sauce. You're like,
Yummy.
wow. You're gonna start with our potatoes because they take the longest to cook. When we made our mashed potatoes for our TV dinners,
Yep.
Yes.
what did we put in our water?
Salt.
So I've got salt in my water. So I'm going to slice my potatoes into about 1/2 inch thick slices. So I'm gonna, I got my potatoes in the water. I'm gonna go ahead and just whip together my vinaigrette right now. All right, so I have about 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna put 1/4 cup of olive oil. There we go, like right in there. I'm gonna put in about 1/4 cup of chicken stock. So I have a garlic clove. I'm smashing and finely chopping. Okay, that's gonna go right in there. Pinch of salt. A big spoonful of whole grain mustard. It adds a nice richness to the flavor. I'm just gonna dice a little onion in there. Taste a spoonful of my vinaigrette, but this is a very nice balance between salt and acid. So I have 2 little skinny boneless pork chops. So look I am very carefully just cutting this fat edge off, okay? Oh, look, my potatoes have come to a boil. And now what am I doing?
Reduce the simmer.
Reduce the
Right,
simmer.
RTS. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to do what's called butterflying these. And pull your knife through. Leave a little piece connected here, so I'm gonna open it like a book. So I put my butterflied pork chop right down on my gel board. I cover it with a piece of plastic wrap, and I'm taking the flat side of this, and I'm just kind of gently hit and drag. All right, and we're just evening it out. All right, there we go. That was it, okay? And so look what I have. It's wide, it's flat, and it's very even, right? So it will have an even cook time. So these guys are gonna cook really quickly. Now, I'm going to put them through what's called the standard breading procedure. Ooh, sounds fancy, doesn't it? The standard breading procedure is a 3-compartment setup. All right, so our first compartment is flour. In the 3rd compartment, I have breadcrumbs, these Japanese breadcrumbs, panko. In the middle compartment, I have an egg wash. So an egg wash is an egg beaten with a little splash of water. You want this to be a homogeneous mixture. You want it to all look the same. And the water, adding that splash of water, will help you get the eggs beaten so you don't see any of those egg white hoppers, okay? This is how this goes. Our pork, we're going to season up high. We season our pork, high, even seasoning. All right, now we have flour, egg wash, breadcrumbs. We also then have dry hand, wet hand. And never the two shall meet. If you don't do wet hand, dry hand, you'll get the clumps, all right? And it will be you'll just get clumpy fingers, and then, that's a whole other issue. So it's like this. We dust our pork chop, we dredge it in there, shake off the excess flour, all right? But make sure it's all really nicely covered, okay? Shake off the excess flour, then right into the egg wash, all right? Other hand. Okay, make sure it's really nicely coated with the egg wash. Okay, see, look, I missed a little piece right there. If I miss that piece right there, my breadcrumbs are not gonna stick to it. So really make sure, you can go back and forth 1 or 2 times, just to make sure it's really nicely coated with the egg wash. and then right into the breadcrumbs, and you can like do a little sprinky dink on top of there. Okay, and then really like kind of pack those on. So the pork actually is gonna be sort of like one of the last things that we do. So we're giving it some time to sit there and let that breading really seal onto our pork. Okay, so there we go. How about we give my potatoes a little tester to see how they are doing? Oh yeah, those are nice and fork tender. So I'm going to drain my potatoes. I have a colander in the sink. Hot stuff.
Hot stuff, hot stuff.
All right, and then where do I go with these? Right into my vinaigrette. All right, and we're just stirring this around to get everyone really nicely coated. So we have this guy. This guy is what we call an English cucumber. We're gonna peel this. I'm gonna make another vinaigrette. I'm gonna use 1/4 cup of white wine vinegar. I'm going to use 1/4 cup of water. You have to dilute that vinegar by about half, otherwise it will be so acidic that it will be like bracingly acidic, like it will take like the enamel off your teeth. 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of sugar. So the sugar kind of cuts the intensity of the salt. All right, we mix this up. All right, right in there. Let's give it a little pinch of crushed red pepper. It'll be salty and tangy and with a tiny bit of spice. And 1 clove of garlic, smashed and finely chopped. Throw that right in there. So this is like what we call a quick pickle or a quickle. It's gonna give this a little bit of a taste. Ooh, that's exciting. All right, so I have my bunch of dill. It has these bigger stems at the bottom. I'm just gonna cut those big stems right off. Look at this, I'm gonna get my dill up into a really small space, and I'm gonna slice it really close together. We just like up and down, and then we change directions, up and down. All right, so then my dill, right in my pickling liquid. All right, we are gonna slice our cucumbers with the most dangerous piece of kitchen equipment that we have. So we have, voila, the mandolin. This thing will take the tips of your fingers off and not even feel bad about it. Okay, now, we're gonna hold it way up top. There we go.
Oh, nice.
All right, so look at what we got.
Wow.
Okay, keep going, and see how my fingers are getting close to this, so I'm holding my cucumber up higher. And when I get down to about here, that is far enough. All right, now, bombs away. Guess what? Look at what I'm doing. I'm pickling. I'm quickling. All right, we're just gonna stir this around. So there we go. All right, so we have parsley. So we get, like we're looking for the leaves and not for the big stems. So there we go, look at this. Really close together, see my long slices. So then just like our dill, we're gonna go by. All right, so when everyone looks uniformly chopped, we're done. Mise en place container, all right. So our chives, now hold these guys, and this is the slices, and you want the slices really close together. With chives, we don't go back and do the pivot chop. You got one shot on these, and we want teeny tiny little circles. See the motion of the ocean of my knife is back and forth. So you see what I got? Like one time through, and just keep going down the pike. Voila, okay?
Nice.
This is gonna go in my potatoes at the last minute, right before I serve. We are just about ready to come down the home stretch.
Okay.
We're almost done, okay? So I'm gonna do anchovies. So look at what you've got in here. Come on up. All right, so they're little anchovy fillets.
Ooh.
All right, just try. Here, there's little teeny tiny pieces. Just go ahead and try.
Whoa, that's salty. Whoa.
Yes, they're really salty. Okay, so we have capers.
Okay.
These guys are really salty also. They kind of have a flavor almost like an olive. All right, so I have anchovies, capers. I'm gonna use 2 cloves of garlic. So look at this. Mise en place makes me happy. All right, so the last thing I'm gonna do is I have a stick of butter. So we're just gonna cut pats of it. All right, I am ready to start cooking and coming down the home stretch. Today, we are going to be cooking with vegetable oil. All right, I'm going to give a generous amount of oil. It's about maybe like almost a ½ an inch thick. So this is what we call a pan fry. This guy, we want it to come about halfway up the sides of our pork. So now I'm gonna heat this up. Now, while my oil is heating up, I have just a couple more things to set up. So I have a sheet tray with a rack. And on half of the rack, I'm gonna put a few layers of paper towels. So we need olive oil, we need a tiny bit of water, and we need a lid. All right, so my oil is starting to get hot. We take whatever it is we're frying, so we lay it in there gently. Basically, because my pork is so thin, this is going to cook really quickly. So it's about the color we're looking for, and your pork will be cooked through. All right, now I'm taking my tongs. Look at that.
Wow.
All right, and I turn it over ever so gently. There we go, and I'm just gonna wait for it to get golden brown on the bottom.
Whoa.
All right, so there we
nice.
go. Look at what we got going on. This guy's done. So, all right, look at that. A tiny little bit of salt. There we go, blot it on both sides. And then move it over to the side that doesn't have the paper towel so air can circulate and it won't get soggy. Okay, all right, there we go. This guy's done. One sec, I'll show you. All right, so I'm turning off my pan now. All right, a little salt there. Okay, a little salt on the bottom, and there we go. All right, so I'm just gonna have these guys standing by right there. Ready?
Yep.
Watch me, very careful, very careful. Oh. Okay. Now let's talk sauce. We're gonna build the sauce right in the same pan. So I'm gonna give my pan a little bit of oil, not too much. And I'm gonna throw that anchovy right in there. Okay. All right, so come here. Look at what we've got going on. These anchovies. Look at it, so like, just basically
Right.
kind of like disintegrates, but that flavor is in the pan. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my garlic and my capers. Ah, smells good, doesn't it? All right, so see what I got going on in my pan? Like there's not a lot of oil, there's not a lot of anything going on there really.
Oh, it smells so good.
So I'm gonna take a pat of butter, and my burner is on a pretty low heat, all right? And I'm gonna swirl this butter around. And we just let it keep on moving. All right, and as that butter starts to melt, yeah, you wanna just keep it moving with everybody. Kind of keep it shaking. Let's give you guys 2 tablespoons of chicken stock. Get that in there. All right. So there's a little butter in there, the garlic, the anchovy, the capers. All right, now we put in 1 pat of butter at a time. Swirl your pan because you want to keep it moving. And it's like the butter and the chicken stock and all of these things come together. but you want it to be a unified thing. You don't want the butter to separate out, so keep it moving. So why don't you guys do 3 pats of butter?
3 pats, okay.
Okay, just so it will give you a little bit more volume of sauce. Now, for the moment, I'm just gonna turn this off, and I'm gonna fry my egg, and then we're gonna plate, okay? So, get some oil in there. All right, we wanna heat up our pan. Okay, so my pan is hot, but see, no smoke, nothing coming out of here. Eggs are a very gentle cook. All right, so there we go, look at that. I cracked my egg right into my pan. All right, and we're just gonna let it cook ever so gently. See where it is? Yeah. It's gonna take a little bit to get this part of the really thick, very close to the yolk of the egg white to cook. So I have a little trick. We have a little splash of water in one hand. All right, we let that start to come to a boil. We heat it up and put a lid on it. Ooh. All right, so it kind of steams the top of the egg in there. It's a gentle cook. Now, let's just finish up everything. Look, I have my potato salad. I'm gonna stir my chives into there. All right, and the last thing I'm gonna do before I plate this.
Ooh.
Yum. I think the balance of salt and acid and all that kind of stuff is really good. I'm going to use a slotted spoon. All right. I'm gonna take that guy out, and I'm gonna put it right on my plate like that. It looks fresh and beautiful and delicious with all those chives, really bright green in there. Let's just check my egg. Oh, look at Dunsky.
Nice.
Beautiful, right? Okay, I'm gonna turn that off. Gonna stand by. Now, this little ramekin, I'm going to put my pickles in. There we go. So I have a little napkin. All right, we set it right on there. We have our pork on there. Okay. This thing is called a fish spatula. It's one of my favorite pieces of kitchen equipment ever. All right, so we're gonna just very gently grab our egg out of there. We're gonna let the water drip off a little bit. And we lay that baby right on top of there.
Too good.
All right, so let's just finish up the sauce. We're just gonna warm it up a little bit. All right, I'm gonna add one more teeny tiny pat of butter to that. So I'm just gonna give it a little taste. Give it a teeny tiny pinch, but really not much. All right, just swirling it around so that last little pat of butter melts away. Parsley goes in there the last second before we plate this. Saucing, we get our saucing spoon. Okay, get a nice spoonful of that. So, think about why we have the stuff on the plate that we do. We have our fried pork cutlet. We have the egg that's really, the yolk running all over it. Kind of melds with the anchovy sauce and makes everything really luscious and unctuous in your mouth. We have a room temperature potato salad that has a lot of vinegar in there. And we have the pickled cucumbers.
Nice.
All right, you ready to try it?
Yes. Yeah.